Hi, my name's Ange Anderson. I am the Nova Brisbane breakfast newsreader and I graduated from a Bachelor of Communications at Griffith in 2005.
We just keep winning gold at the Com Games.
I knew pretty much at the age of 13 I wanted to be a journalist. It was a really long journey here to Nova in Brisbane. I started at Hot Tomato. I moved to Sydney before landing a really big job at Radio 2UE, working with the likes of John Laws. So it was really exciting and I learnt so much from so many professionals in the industry there. I moved back home to B105 Triple M in Brisbane. And then I decided that I really liked the Nova brand because it's a bit more casual, and now I'm here in Brisbane, back home. I start work at about 4. I then decide what the news agenda is going to be for the day. So I trawl through papers online. I also look at press releases from councillors, for example, from state government ministers, getting an idea about what's been happening while everyone else has been sleeping. So I've got all these stories banked up for the morning. And then I put together my first bulletin, which is 5:30, which is just a quick overview. Then from 6 a.m, I'm on air every 15 minutes. And yes, I do write it. People always ask that. I do write the news.
And in the weather, up to 25.
It's hard to explain the adrenaline rush you get when you turn the mic on. Knowing that you are talking to, on average, 360,000 people a morning and delivering to them the news and telling them what's going on around them, things that are affecting them, I guess it's just a real rewarding experience. So I got my first break at Griffith through the mentorship scheme. I got buddied up with Kate Carlisle, who's the news director at Hot Tomato, and she, once a week, let me shadow her in her day-to-day work. I then showed her that I was really keen. There was just something about the job that I just loved. I just loved the immediacy of radio. It was great being out in the actual real world and yeah, just getting a feel for what I've studied over the last 3 years. So from there, she let me be the traffic reporter. So I got my first actual real gig on air. And then that just developed into being the weekend newsreader. And from there, she actually offered my first full-time job. So that's how I got into the industry. And if it wasn't for the resources that Griffith provided me and those contacts, I wouldn't be where I am today. Along the journey, I have learned so much. So basically, number one would probably be confidence. You have to have confidence to jump behind this mic every day and talk to, on average, 360,000 people a morning. So confidence is definitely the key. Other things, don't swear behind a microphone. We've all heard blooper tapes before where that goes wrong. Luckily, I've never caught myself doing that. And I guess network, that's a big one. I've never actually got a job through an advertisement. It's always been who I know. So they're probably the top 3. Time management would probably be the biggest one. So with 15-minute deadlines and then to be able to present something that is flawless is extremely difficult, and it never really gets easier. So being able to juggle sourcing first, then writing the news, then presenting it, all within a short time frame, and making that just look seamless is probably the biggest challenge. When I was living down in Sydney, I got to meet Oprah and I interviewed Oprah. David Beckham was another one. By far though, my favourite has probably been the Dalai Lama. That was such an experience. And from there, I've then gone on to study a little bit about what he's all about, and yeah, it's just a real eye-opener to what else is around us. Yeah, digital side of the radio business is definitely where the future lies. You have to integrate, you know, things like Facebook, Instagram. You have to connect to your audience that way as well. So each individual announcer here at Nova, each newsreader has their own Instagram, their own Facebook, their own Twitter account, and we're also jumping on the Nova accounts as well, and yeah, sharing our lives that way and sharing news that way as well. So it's definitely the way of the future, and you've got to make sure that you're up to speed on all that as well. During my degree at Griffith, I made sure that I made friends with everyone in my class because we just knew that there was an air of success, and we have now gone on to, a lot of us, be journalists, especially within the broadcast side of the degree. I've got friends that are at Channel 7, that are at Channel 10, that are working for state government ministers as their PR people, and they're all my colleagues from uni. So I tapped into those resources. We had a TV station running at the time, and in my spare time I'd volunteer and help out with that. Just making the most of every opportunity, just grabbing it, you know, by the hands and just going for it. My advice to uni graduates would be, along the way, I was rejected so many times for jobs, and it's just about staying true to yourself and knowing that you have it within yourself to succeed, and knocking on as many doors as you can, especially in the media industry, and just making as many contacts as you can, because ultimately one person will either know of a job coming up or they'll be able to supply you a job. I guess I got to where I am in my career through never being afraid to chase my dreams. So from the age of 13, I knew I wanted to be a journalist. I did the course at Griffith University, and I wasn't afraid to do unpaid work experience. That's a massive plus in this industry, to show that you are determined to get where you want to be. I wasn't afraid to pack up my bags at 21 and move interstate, away from my friends and family. I wasn't afraid to take on big jobs with some pretty influential people, and then to make friends with them and use them as contacts along my career path. In terms of my long-term goals, I look to Carrie Bickmore on the project. Absolutely love what she does. She started at Nova 100 in Melbourne. She made contact with Dave Hughes, who she worked with, like I do, with Ash, Kip and Luttsy on The Breakfast Show here. And from there, he gave her a start on the project on TV. And I just look at her, and she delivers news in a different way, an engaging way, and she's herself. And I'd love to be someone like her. What's next for me is I'm actually really enjoying interaction outside of news, being able to use news stories and then turn them into a talk topic on radio, which I guess is just exploring different conversation about the news. So I'd really like to explore that more, and perhaps even become like a breakfast announcer. The day-to-day here is extremely crazy. Everyone's a lot of fun. So after the show, everyone gets around the ping pong table. We all have a game of ping pong. We have, if the French Open's on, we'll have the French Open version of ping pong, or Wimbledon. Then we go into a meeting where we plan the next day, which involves coming up with wacky ideas. I mean, here at Nova, we've done some pretty fun things while I've been here. We've sent some bobbleheads up into space and filmed it. We've had the World Slip and Slide Championships, where we crown somebody the World Slip and Slide Champion. So it's not, just about the news. It's being able to be part of the Nova team, and getting involved in these wacky ideas we have that we turn into actual events.